What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and I could barely sleep last night. Today is going to be a big day for the New York Giants as they make their debut on Monday Night Football, and they'll certainly be put to the test against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers coming in as a 6-point favorite and may have the best defense in the league. And if they're not the best, they're one of the top 3 or top 4. Last year, they ranked 5th in both points and yards against. And when you factor in that they were like 24th in time of possession and got no help from the offensive side, they're a scary defense. They led the league in sacks. They led the league in forced turnovers. This is going to be a tough test for the New York Giants, and they've got an experienced coach with Mike Tomlin. And what I ask as a Giants fan going into this game, I need max effort. I need this team to come out and do what Joe Judge has preached. I need them to represent New York City, put the hard hats on, and fight your asses off for 60 minutes. And if you do that, I won't complain. Go out there, give me a tough football. Give me 60 minutes of tough football. Try to make as few mistakes as possible and go out there with a strong game plan. Stay committed to the run, and we'll see if we can get out with a win on Monday night and get to 1-0. But in this video, I kind of wanted to dive into the rest of the division, being that the New York Giants sat out yesterday. We got to see the teams that we're going to be going up against in the division for 6 games this year duke it out, one with one another, obviously, with the football team taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and the other one with the Dallas Cowboys under the lights on Sunday Night Football going up against the LA Rams. And we're going to start with the game between Washington and Philadelphia. Philadelphia coming in, obviously, they've been a good team. They won the Super Bowl a few years ago. Last year, they make the playoffs as they win the division. And this is a team, I always say, finds ways to win games, and it's why I will not count them out, even though they looked as poor as they did yesterday. Yesterday, I think they got out to, I think it was a 17-0 lead. They were dominating that football game early on, but one thing I kept saying to myself as I was watching the game, yeah, the Eagles are moving the football. Yeah, Washington can't move the football, but Washington was getting pressure. And the one thing that I said going into this game, if you watch my preview video, I said that Washington was going to keep this close due to the fact that Philadelphia has no offensive line right now. They were missing their Brandon Graham, obviously an all-pro guard. They were missing 2 of their starting 5. And this was a team last year that all the Eagles fans talked about was how poor their receivers were, but Carson Wentz was still able to carry the team. But one thing that they had was still one of the best 4 or 5 offensive lines in the sport. And when you lose 40% of that offensive line, well, that's going to hurt you. Andre Dillard was a guy that you thought was going to step in this year, do a great job. Brandon Graham, obviously out for the year, and it showed yesterday big time. Yesterday, the Philadelphia Eagles surrendered 8 sacks, and Carson Wentz couldn't get the job done. He was holding on to the ball too long at times. He fumbled the ball twice, and he couldn't put the team on his back. He made 2 key interceptions, and Dwayne Haskins made plays when they had to be made. As far as Washington goes, a lot of people are going to be scared. They're going to be buying into this pass rush, and make no mistake about it. They've got a very good pass rush. You got 3 really good pass rushers there, obviously with Kerrigan, the newly acquired Chase Young, and last year's first-round pick Montez Sweat. And they were all over the football field, and they're going to be a problem for the NFC East and the NFL in general. I think they put the league on notice. They've got a tough football mind there in Ron Rivera, defensive mind. Did a great job when he first started with the Chargers as a defensive coordinator, and he always had a very disciplined football team with the Carolina Panthers. You go back, look at the Panthers. They were always known for their defense and for a team that didn't beat themselves. They were always in the least amount of penalties. I remember doing preview videos on the Panthers. Always in the bottom 5 in the league in terms of penalties against. And I expect him to bring that discipline, much like I expect Joe Judge to bring discipline to the New York Giants. I think it'll be the same thing with Ron Rivera, and I think they're going to be a defense-first football team. The offense, I'm still not impressed with Washington's offense. I know Gibson looked pretty good. He moved the ball, and Haskins made plays when he needed to. But you go back, you look at the course of that game, Haskins didn't play that good. I remember earlier in the game, he threw at least 1, if not 2 balls that should have been picked off, one of which was right in the DB's hands for the Philadelphia Eagles. So Haskins still doesn't scare me. That offense still doesn't scare me. But that defense may be good enough to carry them to more wins than maybe the experts expected. You look at a lot of the rankings coming into the year, they had the Skins at 2-14. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that defense is going to win them some football games. Now, am I going to go crazy and say to myself, oh, Washington, that defense is ferocious. I'm completely buying it off of 1 week? No. The Eagles had a horrible offensive line. Driscoll, who was subbing in as the backup tackle, went down with an injury. Then they brought in a guy who had never had any football experience. He's a former rugby player. He was in there as an emergency tackle. And if Driscoll can't play next week, I would expect that the Eagles would probably go out there and bring in somebody off free agency, because I don't think they're going to let him continue to play there. But with the injury history of Carson Wentz, the fumbling history of Carson Wentz, and the fact that this offensive line looked as bad as it did week one, you have to be really concerned if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. If you look at the future for this football team, you look at their cap situation next year, and you look at the players that carry the dead cap hits that they do, I'm optimistic, guys, that the Philadelphia Eagles are on the way down. I think we're seeing the end of the Eagles' run, and maybe I'll be wrong. They've proved me wrong before, and they certainly could go out there, like I said at the top of the video, and compete this year, and maybe they win 9, 10 games. I don't see any more than that. You look at the Eagles' schedule coming up. The Eagles' schedule coming up is brutal. We'll see what they do the next 2 weeks, but after that, you've got at the 49ers. I think they're at the Ravens, and they play another really good team. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they have a 3-game stretch there after the next 2, and the next 2 aren't that easy either. They have a game against the Bengals. I forgot who they're playing next week, but it is not an easy opponent. The Eagles are going to be put to the test. The Eagles play a brutal schedule. They're playing the same divisions we play, the North and the NFC West, which, obviously have 3-4 really good teams in the West. You saw the way the Rams played. You saw the way the Cardinals played. And we all know that the Niners and the Seahawks are legit. And this whole division has to play them. That's why I don't think this division winner is going to win more than 9 games tops, when you factor in the divisions we have to play. And then the other teams that the Eagles play that we don't are brutal. I mean, you're talking about the Saints, and you're talking about the Green Bay Packers. So the Eagles have a very challenging schedule this year, and that was a game that if you were an Eagle fan going into it, you had penciled in as a win. And if you're an Eagle fan right now, you're probably panicking. And we'll see what Washington's got. Washington's got a good test next week against the Arizona Cardinals. If they win that game, I'll start to buy in a bit. But that defense looks legit in terms of the pass rush. The secondary still has some question marks, but Washington may surprise some people this year. As far as the Dallas Cowboys goes, you watch my preview video, you watch my picks video, I'm not surprised. Now, Dallas had 2 huge injuries in that game. Van Der Esch goes down with a collarbone injury. I believe he was put on the IR. Jarwin, I believe, is out for the year. The tight end that a lot of people thought was going to step up. And obviously, you never root for injuries, but those are that is going to hurt that football team. Van Der Esch is a big piece of that defense in the middle at the linebacker position. We'll see how Dallas responds. In terms of the outcome, I'm not surprised. And I know a lot of people will probably go into that game, they say, oh, the Rams suck. First off, the Rams don't suck. The Rams are a real football team, and that's why if I'm a Dallas fan, I'm probably not going crazy off this loss. The Rams are good. The Rams went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They went 9-7 last year. I think they were better than their record. But the thing that Dallas continues to show me, and it's what I said in my preview video, this team struggles mightily on the road. Last year, they beat the Giants, they beat Washington, and they beat Detroit without Matt Stafford. That's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th picks of last year's drafts on the road, and that's it. They lost to the Jets, and they lost to the Bears on the road. And now they lose to the Rams in LA in a game in which they were favored by 3 points. To me, Dallas, it is what it is. This team continues to struggle on the road, no matter who the coach is. Ezekiel Elliott had a good game. He had 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dak played all right, but that offense couldn't move the ball when they needed to move it. And they only put up 17 points, and the defense gave them multiple opportunities down the stretch to be able to go down the field and put up 3 points. I think they had at least 3 opportunities, and Cowboys fans are going to complain about the pass interference call. Listen, you guys lost fair and square. The Rams played a great defensive game. I think Jared Goff's going to have a strong season. I expect the Rams to rebound and compete in the NFC West. We'll see. Obviously, it's a very tough division. But as far as the Cowboys go, there's no world beaters in this division. And they play just as tough a schedule as the Eagles do. So I don't see the division winner really even probably winning 10 games. I think 9 games will win this division. And that's going to be hard for the New York Giants. We'll see how they do against the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. But if they could win this game, and then you somehow beat the Bears, of course, coming off a monumental comeback against the Lions. But if they get out to a 2-0 start, you have to start being confident that we're at least going to compete throughout the year, because nobody is running away with the division. Now with the schedules that they play, the Cowboys suffer a loss they thought they were going to win. The Eagles suffer a loss that they thought for sure they were going to win. And the Skins, well, they shocked the world with that defense, and they put the NFL on notice. We'll see what the New York Giants do today in terms of a statement game. I want them to establish that ground game with that big-time offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas, Saquon Barkley, and start to bring hope back to this fan base. Start to show you that we have an identity, a run-first approach with a quarterback that can make plays when they need to be made. We'll see what Joe Judge has in his debut start. It's going to be a challenge. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the league. He's experienced. There's familiarity there. I need this team to come out there today, give me 60 minutes of max effort, and whatever happens, happens. Play fundamentally sound football, try to move the chains, stick to the game plan, and let's get some pressure on Big Ben. We're going to be able to stuff the run. I have no doubt in my mind with the injury on the offensive line to DeCastro. We've got to get pressure on Ben. We have to force mistakes, and if we could do that, we may be able to shock the world like Washington did. But this NFC East is wide open. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.